Well, I know some of you are going to be upset because we've had a little bit of an, not OU heavy, but OU's been in the headlines this week with Kyler Murray and now this Bob Stoops move to the XFL. Let me touch on that here for a few minutes. Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of heartlandcollegesports.com. Thanks so much for joining us and being a part of the show, however you are consuming us, whether it's radio, whether it's podcast, YouTube, whatever it might be. Thanks for joining us. You know, I've been owning and operating this Big 12 website for a very long time. It has grown rapidly over the past couple of years. And I used to work in Oklahoma. Now I'm in Kansas City. I was in New York in between. And it's been great to bring the Big 12 and bring a Big 12 platform to all of you. And I've really enjoyed it over the last couple of years. And, of course, tons of help from my guys, Matthew Postins, Derek Duke, Cam Brock, and Dave Beal. So Bob Stoops is going to the XFL. And I got to be honest. At first, I was like, wait, this guy could have NFL jobs. He could have, I don't know, a college job of his desire maybe in his former home state in a place like Ohio, or go to Chicago that he loves and he has a nice condo in right on the Gold Coast there. He could do all this stuff. The XFL? I mean, Vince McMahon? He hate me? I mean, that circus? Bob Stoops? Buttoned up Bob? I just didn't get it. And I know some of you are mad because I'm talking OU again. And we talked a little bit earlier about Kyler Murray. But, hey, time for one of your former head coaches to get an XFL job. And I'll talk about them, right? It's just I can't control the news cycle. I apologize. Anyway, this news here that came through, and I was just shocked. This just does not seem like Bob Stoops. Now, I know this new XFL is going to take a different approach. It's not going to be that dog and pony circus that it was 15, 20 years ago. It's going to be more serious. And no, it's not going to be the talent level of the NFL, but they are going for a real product. So Stoops signs on with the Dallas club. And first off, you drive 2.5, 3 hours down to Dallas from Norman. Makes sense. He's got his kids on the OU football team. It's in a different time of year. You know, this is going to be running in the spring. He can still watch his sons play football on Saturdays in the fall. I get it from a lifestyle standpoint. But at the same time, Stoops told ESPN they liked the idea of getting back into coaching without it being overly time-consuming. Now, maybe the XFL is going to have a bunch of washed-up guys coaching that are kind of similar to Bob Stoops. Just guys that kind of want to, kick their feet up, still be involved with the game, but not necessarily have to do all the intensive 24/7, 365 work of, say, the NFL or college. Maybe that's appealing to a lot of guys like Steve Spurrier running around the sideline like a madman in the AAF last week. I mean, that was entertaining, was it not? But it's also like I feel like Bob Stoops is the kind of guy who is very concerned about legacy, what people think, the image. And if the XFL does crash and burn, I mean, is this Roger Clemens the second time around with the Yankees? Is this Michael Jordan with the Wizards? Is it Brett Favre with the Vikings at the tail end there? Maybe it's not. Maybe that's too critical. And maybe nobody's going to care. Or maybe Bob Stoops says, hey, it's a way to keep my gears going, keep myself in place because I do want to coach again once my kids are done with OU and they're out of the house and, I'm looking for something to do. Maybe it's a way to kind of wet his whistle and keep himself going on the football side and the coaching side. Maybe that's all it is. But if he's like, yeah, this is great, it's coaching football without it being time-consuming, well, you're kind of setting yourself up to fail because you're going to have a lot of young, hungry guys out there and coaches as well, potentially trying to make a name for themselves. And if you're going to be the guy that's like, yeah, I'm just here to kind of keep myself involved, well, that could turn ugly. And what if the XFL is a legitimate league and people are watching it and Bob Stoops is going 1-10 or 1-9, so they're going to have 10-game seasons? Is that going to look good on the resume? Are people going to care? Maybe you're not. I don't quite get it, I don't quite get it. And that's why it's like if both your sons were going to go to OU, I get maybe not wanting to coach your sons and wanting to step away. But at the same time, why not coach your sons? That could be pretty cool, I mean, Drake's a player. He played a little bit last year. I don't know about the other one. His name's skipping my mind. But they were both preferred walk-ons, right? And, why not do that? I don't know. The whole thing just kind of feels odd to me. Not saying it won't work. Not saying it's not the right move for him. I just hope he got paid as well. I hope old Bob got paid for his XFL job. And it's a big get for the XFL. Hey, I don't want to take anything away from the XFL. This is what Vince McMahon and the commissioner had in mind. Why am I blank on the commissioner's name? Oliver Luck had in mind. And, hey, they nailed it here. I mean, if they want to be taken seriously, Bob Stoops is a great way to do it. And I'm sure Bob Stoops hopefully made sure this is not going to be the sideshow that it was 20 years ago. And I don't think it's going to be. They made that very clear. Oklahoma State. Oh, I should say this. A quick note. Pooh Strickland retiring from football. I saw that from our friends at Sikkim 365 this week. Had a nice career as a wide receiver, played quarterback in high school. Baylor is going to be fine at that position, but anytime you see that, a young guy retiring from the sport, you wish him well moving forward. Oklahoma State got its new offensive line coach and its former Kansas State offensive line coach, Charlie Dickey. What happened is Mike Gundy lost Josh Henson to Texas A&M. I know Texas A&M overpays for everybody. They are the classic team that just overpays because they're so self-conscious about themselves. They're such a bunch of losers. They're never going to win anything, so they overpay. I don't blame Henson for taking it. If somebody wants to overpay you for your ability, when you're talking that kind of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, you take it and you run with it. It is what it is. All right? You do what you got to do. But this hire of the new offensive line coach, Charlie Dickey, is a really good one from Mike Gundy. This position has turned over extensively over the last few years. He becomes the fifth coach in 7 seasons on the offensive line. I mean, it's unbelievable when you talk about turnover. And Mike Gundy is a guy who likes having that consistency. That's important to him. That's why he's getting guys out of Shippensburg and Princeton, figuring, you know what, they'll stay for a little bit. They will stay. And when you look at the job that Kansas State did with Dickey as the offensive line coach and the development that he had with guys like Dalton Reisner, Scott Franz, Cody Whitehair, these are top-tier offensive linemen in the Big 12. And Gundy said that he had actually tried to hire Dickey away from Kansas State, but he was so loyal to Bill Snyder he wouldn't leave. So this is a perfect opportunity, a perfect hire, and in many ways, the perfect guy for Mike Gundy to get in there and develop his offensive linemen, which are in desperate need of development. I'm not going to say it was all the fault or anything like that of Josh Henson, but I'm kind of amazed that A&M would dump all this money on a guy who did not do a very good job with that unit, right? Is that fair? Is that a fair criticism of last year's Oklahoma State offensive line? I know they dealt with some injuries, but my goodness, I'm not an offensive line guru, but I have a hard time seeing how that was a job that's worthy of a pay raise and a job upgrade. Maybe that's just me. Pete Mundo, Heartland College Sports Weekly, part of heartlandcollegesports.com. You guys are fantastic. This show is growing every single week because of you, and we can't thank you enough for joining us. Please do check out the site, heartlandcollegesports.com. A lot of great content up there. Check us out on the radio show, YouTube, the podcast, everything else. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week. Same time, same place right here on Heartland College Sports Weekly.